Hey everyone, in this Apigee 4-minute videos for developers, we're going to discuss about OAuth 2.0 Authorization Code Grant Type. It's also called three-legged OAuth and very famous where you would like to give access to your APIs to third-party applications. Myself Anil Sagar, I work at Google and Apigee platform. Prerequisites for this video, you need basics of OAuth 2.0 grant types. For that you can refer earlier 4-minute video. Let's discuss the different steps involved in securing APIs using OAuth 2.0 Authorization Code Grant Type and how different actors talk to each other, including Apigee Edge platform, which acts like an OAuth 2.0 authorization server. Let's say you have a backend system where you have data stored and you're exposing that data as an APIs. Let's say this backend store or the target system is a resource server that belongs to XYZ bank that is providing fund transfers API, account statements API, as well as accounts API. Now let's say there is an end user, let's say a bank customer, who is doing transactions with this bank and would like to give access to some of the APIs to a third-party application like expense tracker application. Let's see how this end user grants access to this particular application trying to access the bank APIs. In the OAuth 2.0 three-legged OAuth, which is nothing but authorization code grant type. Apigee sits in between the client and the target system, which is acting like an authorization server along with the API management platform. Apigee Edge provides developer portal. In the 0th step, that means before even the communication starts, this particular client registers with the developer portal of the XYZ bank, which is nothing but Apigee Edge developer portal, saying that I'm trying to access the statements API. Can you give me access? Bank will review the application and grant access to the application which is trying to access the account statements API. So Apigee Edge will generate a consumer key and consumer secret and provides this information back to the client. The client now got the consumer key and secret. The end user, now trying to use this particular application, tries to log in into the application. When he tries to log in, there is an API call that is made from the client to Apigee saying that this particular user is trying to access the API and let me access the login screen of the bank. Apigee verifies the client ID and redirects the client application to the login screen of the bank. Generally, this particular login screen is hosted on the bank resource server itself because you trust the bank site and you can able to provide the user credentials of your banking platform. And then there is a consent screen that gets displayed on what information you're going to share with this third-party application. As an end user, you click on authorize or deny on the consent screen. Then once you authorize the application, in the second step, application makes an API call to Apigee OAuth endpoint and asks for the authorization code. Apigee generates the authorization code and redirects back to the consent screen, which in turn sends this particular authorization code to the client. Client now has this authorization code. Client uses this authorization code along with the secret key and makes an API call to the Apigee OAuth proxy to generate a token. Apigee generates an access token and gives back to the client. Client now uses this access token to make an API call, and then Apigee verifies is it the right access token, trying to access the right API that it is entitled to, and then after the verification, Apigee forwards the request back to the target system, and then the response is sent back to the client. The communication between Apigee Edge and the backend server is always secured using mutual SSL so that nobody can access the APIs directly and everybody has to go through Apigee Edge platform where we have implemented the OAuth 2.0 authorization code grant type. In the next video, we're going to see how to implement this authorization code grant type. Stay tuned. If you have any questions, please feel free to post your questions in community.apigee.com. If you are evaluating Apigee Edge, you can reach out to us using this link. Please share this video with your friends and colleagues and spread the love for APIs. And also subscribe to YouTube channel and stay updated if any future videos. Thank you again.